How hard is it to throw a ball up in the air like this? 2 balls? I can juggle 2, 3, 4. It gets harder, right? Ladies and gentlemen, contest chair, the maximum balls I can juggle with is only 3 balls. A month ago, my boss called me into his office for yet another grueling session on an update on why I was not completing my work on time. The interrogation session lasted 2 hours, and after that, I was so tired and went back to my office grudgingly. He was piling up more and more work for me to do. Didn't he realize that I had enough work to do? I looked at my to-do list and wrote down yet another task he had given me, the 29 tasks out of a list of 28. Well, this task was going to be easy for me, I thought, because he had asked me to research about how to increase productivity in the workplace. How ironic, right? Well, you see, I thought it was going to be easy because I've got a friend that you all know called the internet. And the internet is friends to something called Google. So I went straight to Google, typed in the keywords, and bang, in front of me, displayed were 3,824,508 results, all for my disposal. All I needed to do was just open a few links, copy and paste some relevant information, paste this into a report, and send it to my boss. And in no time at all, I'll be crossing out that 29 checklist item. But I'd not been to my office for almost 2 hours, and as soon as I got there, there were dozens of emails. So I quickly attended to those emails. I got telephone interruptions, impromptu meetings, and by the end of the day, I had not gotten the task achieved. Well, we're living in the 21st century, so I packed up my laptop and carried it home. When I arrived home, I kept my laptop open immediately and worked frantically in between my other tasks. I worked as I ate. I worked in between watching YouTube, Facebook, and doing all sorts of things that I do normally at home. I was sure I was making a lot of progress. After a while, when all things had calmed down and everyone had fallen asleep, I looked in full concentration to what I had done or the work I had achieved. To my horror, I'd only written 1 sentence out of all these attempts. And do you know what the sentence was? The title, How to Increase Productivity in the Workplace. I thought I was producing more by working on so many things, but alas, I had not even achieved the bare minimum of my requirement. I went to bed, and as I laid my head on my pillow, I realized, and it dawned to me, that the real reason I had not been so productive is I was doing too many things at the same time. Trying to open this. I didn't need the internet. I didn't need Google to do this. The solution was there. Let me take you back in time. The industrial ages. The Stone Age. Imagine a man in the Stone Ages. Did you know that scientists and researchers believe that those people who worked yesteryear were much more productive than we are today? That is because they worked on one single task at a time. And I do believe them, because imagine a man working at his home or his cave outside, fixing a bow and an arrow. He could spend 2 hours working on that bow and arrow. There were no text messages to interrupt him, phone calls. Occasionally, the interruption he would only get was if a deer or an antelope passed by his cave. And it was a very wonderful interruption, of course, because that would be his dinner for the next couple of days. Or maybe he would need to drop his tools and run to his cave if a lion came his way. But if we look in this modern and contemporary age, we are constantly interrupted by phone calls, meetings, so many other things that we do not even know what to prioritize and what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I learned a valuable lesson from the exercise that my boss had given me to do. The lesson was that I thought by starting too many things, I was achieving more. But I was delusioned. Did you know that Forbes and other researchers have said that working on multiple tasks actually decreases your productivity by as less as 40%? And that true people who can really do multiple tasks at the time are only 2% of the population, which is very little. But I also know a certain superstars of people that can multitask very well. These species are called women. Women can be eating, texting, watching TV, thinking about the dress they'll wear on the following day, and at the same time scolding their husbands about 5 different things that they didn't do. But not everyone can do that. It is a delusion, ladies and gentlemen, to think that if we have many open tasks, we are achieving. And I fell into this delusion. I believed that by throwing many balls in the air, I would look good, like a circus clown. But only to realize that most of the balls were actually not up in the air, but they dropped down to the floor. It is not the amount of balls in the air, but the amount of balls that we can catch that will make us truly successful. Some of the balls even get in our way and make us stumble and trip. We cannot achieve more until we overcome that hurdle. That half-written application letter, you will never be able to go for that job interview. There are certain tasks that you need to hold with your hand and never drop. These are important tasks, like an important relationship, where you cannot afford to drop it. Because if you drop it, you might break a heart, a relationship. So let us focus on what we can catch and not how many things we think we can do. Understood.